If you were to ask me what I think is the most memorable scene in horror, I'd look no further than Wes Craven's 1996 masterpiece, Scream. It is the quintessential slasher film with probably the most iconic killer in horror history. Is it hyperbolic? Maybe a little. Do I believe it? Absolutely. Scream is the horror film, the slasher film. It's a love letter to the horror genre while in itself being an iconic horror movie. The characters are all extremely memorable, the tension hits every time, and while the film is extremely meta, it makes the film feel grounded in a kind of unusual way. It's a film that takes all the criticisms and cliches of slashers before it and flips them on its head. Wes Craven knew exactly how to approach this film, and it was the breath of fresh air needed in the horror genre at the time of its release.
But he always kept things grounded. Grounds it with the people he casts. He grounds it with the music that he puts in it. He grounds it with production design and editing and sound design. So he really brings all these pieces together and makes sure it's believable.
Scream is undeniably iconic. It's been talked about a lot on the internet amongst film fans, but I kind of wanted to throw my hat in the ring and talk about just one scene from the film. It's not just my favorite scene in Scream, but I think it's one of my favorite movie scenes, period. The opening scene. It is absolutely iconic, it is perfect, it's been parodied, and every sequel since has tried to recreate it in some way, especially Scream 5 with its homage to the original. The opening scene introduces you to the world of Scream perfectly. From the meta conversation about horror films, with an inclusion of Wes Craven throwing shade at the Nightmare sequels.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie. It was scary.
Wow, well, the first one was, but the rest suck.
All the way to the scene's terrifying ending, killing off your top-billed star, setting up an intriguing mystery, and gradually building tension, all put together makes for a great introduction to this iconic story. I think the conversation about horror movies with name drops like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween are all extremely important because it not only provides that meta commentary in the film, but it makes it feel so that the characters live within our world. And it kind of adds on to the point of Ghostface within each and every single movie of the franchise. Ghostface could be anybody under the mask, and I think that this conversation is what amplifies that in a way. He's aware of these horror films, these tropes, these cliches, much like we are. It's kind of like the filmmakers are winking at us through the screen, and I think it's part of what makes Ghostface iconic is that the characters are aware of exactly what he is without it being too over the top. And of course, the setting adds onto this realistic, unnerving tone. This opening scene takes place in a house. Horror movies like Hush and Halloween have done this so well, having a film take place in a location so familiar to us is kind of what adds to that sense of dread throughout the entire atmosphere of the movie. And I think that's what Scream was trying to go for, that sense of realism, and adding to that, Ghostface could be anybody that we know. He's such a grounded, realistic villain that having it take place within a house just makes it feel all the more realistic. Drew Barrymore was marketed as the protagonist of the film. She was under the spotlight. She was in all the marketing, doing all the interviews. We were expecting her to be our final girl, and killing her off so early in the film, a mere 13 minutes in, was a necessary risk for the film to take, because it showed that anybody could die within this world. And adding on to that theme of realism, having Neve Campbell, no disrespect to her at all, but having a more unfamiliar, a newer, unrecognizable face is what makes the film feel more realistic, because it feels like someone that we could have crossed paths with on the sidewalk. Having Drew Barrymore as the protagonist from start to finish, our brains would kind of turn off that immersion for us. It would have broken it. So having Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott made it perfect, because we watched her grow with each and every single film, and it all started with this insane hook to kill off what we thought was going to be our protagonist. The pacing of this opening scene is incredible. It starts off with a simple wrong number, and it slowly dives deeper and deeper into chaos as Ghostface asks who he's talking to on the phone, and he says,
You want to know my name?
So I want to know who I'm looking at.
it's perfect. It is that perfect oh shit moment that the entire scene has been building up to, and from then on it just goes into a downhill spiral of tension and just uncontrolled chaos. Ghostface is now in control completely, and at this point we know that it is life or death for Casey. And I think having your villain take control in the middle of a simple conversation shows not only how smart they are, but how manipulative they are. He talks to her with this warm, gentle voice before becoming this kind of unhinged maniac. And I think that slow build is way more terrifying than the silent stalker watching through the window. The opening scene is not only a great moment in the film, but is a defining point for the entire franchise going forward. Ghostface is the villain in every single one of these movies. It doesn't matter who sits behind the mask. We know how dark and how insane these people beneath the mask wielding this knife can be, and I think the opening scene establishes this perfectly, to the point where even in the sequels we're afraid of what the killer is going to do next. I think this opening scene establishing Ghostface as that insane, unstoppable monster is more effective than any slasher we've seen previously. The entire film itself is iconic and is so memorable to me. I love it every time I watch it, and I can never get tired of watching it every single year around Halloween. It is the quintessential horror movie, and this opening is the movie's one perfect scene. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This is a little different than what I've done before. I'm going to have more videos like this coming out later throughout the month in October with different horror films. So I hope you guys stick around for those. I hope you enjoyed this one. And I am still learning, so as more videos like this come out, I'm going to try and keep getting better. And so I do hope you guys look forward. If you do want updates, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram or both. Link is going to be in the description down below. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next one.